That's right. Yeah. Shalom Israel.
Shalom.
We are I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohanna. I'm Prison Officer Yakad, Prison Officer
GEN.YAHANNA.
All right, and today is our Sabbath service as we follow the traditions of our forefathers in keeping the laws, keeping the Sabbath day, and keeping it holy. So we are about to begin today's Sabbath service. SHALAM to Israel. Imagine, upon your Kodam, you can rise, face the east, south. You say Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanaw, Abashmarim, Adash, Yah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malachwatka, Abaa, Zaka, Yah, Isha, Baratisa, Kawak, Kaya, Mashumaya, Yatan, Nanawa, Welcome, Ka, Yawam, Masalakno, Kawawatno, Kasalakno, Kawawatno, Wa'a, Tabianawa, Manasaiwan, Abo, Awashino, Mayan, Ra, Ya, Waka, Amalakwa, Mahara, Watapara, Iwalam, Aman.
In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Power, thy kingdom come, be done, on earth, as in heaven. Give us this day, daily bread. Forgive us our debts. Forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We can say, Hakak no power, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Yahushua, Yatananaw, Hakak, Yarapah, Kamadao, Hakak, Ataha, Matazariah, Hakak, the Hapayam, Makayam, Hakak, Irakura, Amata'al, the Garashon, Hashem, Yahushua, the Wada Aman.
Just said in English, Yahweh, name of Yahweh, please give us the power to heal, all manner of sickness, all manner of disease, for to cleanse it up, for to raise it dead, for against unclean spirits, cast them out. In the name of Yahweh, thank you. So be it.
We're going to say, bless Israel. Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Barakanaw, Yasha'al, Wabaya, Sapari, Rapa, Magan, Hagan, Bahashem, Yahushua, the Wada Aman.
In the English, Yahweh, name of Yahweh, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our Lord, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it.
We say Psalm 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'a, Ayanya, Al-Hariyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Mayam, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al-Yatan, Mamuwa, Ragar, Aliyanawam, Shamaka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yashab, Shawama, Yasha'al, Yahweh, Shamar, Yahweh, Tazaka, Ayah, Yamyanka, Yawama, Hashema, La'a, Yakaka, Wayara, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamar, Makara, Yashema, Afnashpaka, Yahweh, Yashema, Tazahaka, Wahawaka, Mayata, Wa'id, Iwalam.
In English, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Most High, which made heaven and earth. Will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Most High thy keeper, the Most High thy shade, upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite by day, nor the moon by night. The Most High shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Most High shall preserve thy going out and thy coming from this time forth, even forever.
With this Psalm 83 in Hebrew, Alahayim, Al-Demaya Lakar, Al-Takarash, Wal-Tashafah, Al-Yahanna, Al-Yabaka, Yahama Yawan, Yahash, I.S.U.P.K, Yahara Yawa, Sawadah, Yata, I.S.U.P.K, I.S.U.P.K, Maro, Rakawa, Bonakadam, Magawiya, Bala'a, Yazaka, Shamia Sha'ala, Iwada, Na White is a word, Naba, Yakalo, Aliyaka, Maria, Yakarafwa, Alahaya, Adawam, Wayashima Alayam, Mawa'ara, Wahagaram, Yabab, Wa'imawan, Wa'imala, Alasha, Amyashabaya, Kazawo, Gan Ashawo, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zarawan, Nabanya Lawa, Salah, SHALAM, Kamanya, Asara, Kayabyam, Banakar, Yashwan, Nashamarwa, Ayan, the Arab, Hayawa, the man, the Adama, Sayatamo, Nadaya Nawa, Haira, Wakazaba, Wakata Zamanan, Kal Nasayakamo, Asher, Maro, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Ata, Nahawa, Alahaya, Shayatamo, Galgala, Kapash, Lapanya, Yawaka, Tarapano, Masaraika, Obasa, Opaka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Palawan, Waya, Wapashwa, Shamaka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Aiya, Waya, Kaparo, Waya, Abaru, Waya, Daiwa, Waya, Aka, Shamka, Yahawa, Wabaka, Ayawan, Alkaha, or Ratazar.
English. Keep not outside. The Most High. Hold on thy peace. And be not still. O Most High. For lo, thy enemies. Make it tomorrow. They that hate thee. Have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. And consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off. Being a nation, the name of Israel, no more remembrance. For they have consulted together. One consent. They are confederate against the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, Moab, and the Hagarim, the Baal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre, Isupk also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot, Salah, do unto them, unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, the brook of his son, which perished at Endor, and they came as done for you, make their nobles, like Oreb, Isaiah. Yea, all the princes, Zahab, Zaluna, said, let us take to ourselves the house of the Most High possession, who my power, make them like a wheel, and the stubble before the wind, as a fire burning to wood, as a flame set to the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Most High, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame, and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all you.
So, Shania, which means to sit. Today we'll continue reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 27 and from verse 18. In the Hebrew, Exodus chapter 27 and verse 18. Araka, Akatazah, Ma'a, Ba'ama, Warakab, Kamashiyam, Bakamashiyam, Wakwama, Kamash, Amawaf, Shasha, Mashazah, Wa'adaniya, Wa'adaniyaham, Nakawaf. Verse 19. Lakal, Kala, Kalaya, Hamashakan, Bakal, Ibadawa, Ibadafwa, Wakal, Yatha, Dathayawa, Wakal, Yatadaf, Hakadazah, Nakawa. Verse 20. Wa'ata, Tazawa, Ata, Banya, Yashrala, Wayakwa Kawa, Alayaka, Shaman, Zayatha, Zaka, Kata Yatha, Lamaawa, Laha Ailatha, Nara, Tamayad. Verse 21. Ba'ahal, Mawa'aida, Makawa Taza, Lapara Kata, Asha, Aidata, Ya'ai Raka, Atawa, Aharan, Waban Yawa, Ma'irad, Aida, Bakwa, Lapanya, Yahweh, Kakwath, Iwalam, Ladaratam, Ma'ata, Banya, Yasha'ala. The book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 1. Wa'ata, Ahorab, La'ayaka, Ata, Aharan, Selaki Aran, Akoyaha, Wa'ata, Banyawa, Atawa, Matawaka, Banya, Yasha'ala, Lakahan, Wa, Laya, Aran, and Nadab, Wa'aba Yahawa, Alaiza, Wa'aya Thama, Banya, Aran. Verse 2. Wa'aishayath, Bagadaya, Quadash, La Aran, Akanaya, Akaya Kang, Lakaba Wad, Walata Pa'arath, verse 3, Wa'ata Tadaba Allah Ka Ka Kamaya Laba Ashar Mala Atay Yawa Rawaka Kakama Wa'ai Shawa Ata Bagadaya Aram Lakodashwa Laka Nawa Layat.
Reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 27 and verse 18. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50, everywhere, and the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. Verse 19. All the vessels of the tabernacle in all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. And thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring 3 pure olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamp to burn always. Verse 21. In the tabernacle of the congregation with the veil which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall order it from even to morning before the Most High. It shall be a statute forever unto their generations on the behalf of the children of Israel. Book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 1. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. Verse 3. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garment to consecrate him, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office.
Yes, like it. I'm most in Christ. I mean, as we're reading here, as we continue again, we getting that understanding of the scriptures of, how the Most High laid down our laws and our tradition through Moses, right? So all these are things that the Most High is giving Moses, or gave to Moses, to show unto the children of Israel. And as we continue in chapter 27, you see he gave the instructions on how to build the tabernacle at that time when they were in the wilderness, and it was glorious at that time. And that was even before the temple that Solomon built, right? And when Solomon built the temple, it was on a grand scale. You understand? And as we go through, we also see it as well where Aaron and his sons got their office of priesthood, right? So the priesthood was given to the house of Levi. You understand? But Aaron and his sons had a special office in dealing direct with Moses, you understand, and to the Most High. So Aaron and his sons had that special order of priesthood that would be carried on to what? To all their generations, right? And as verse 21 says in 27, in the tabernacle of the congregation without the veil, which is before thee, which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons order it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute forever unto their generation on behalf of the children of Israel. So this was something that they was given, right, throughout their generations. You understand? On behalf. You understand? And that was forever. Now the Most High gave, a lot of people just take it for granted that when the Most High says something that, that just by the way. But when he says something is to be established forever, that is what it is. Until the Most High says something otherwise, indicated in the scriptures, that is what it is. So that has never changed, and it will not change until the Most High decides to change that. But once there's no indication through the prophets that that has changed, then that is where it's done. And if you have anything to say?
Again, as you are bringing out, this is something that we continue to do on a daily basis in the I.S.U.P.K. And again, you're seeing, as they mentioned in verse 28, concerning the garments. Because now, this is why, the I.S.U.P.K and the Commander General continue to follow the spirit of the Most High Christ, and through our records, and continue to rehearse these righteous acts. And this is why now, as make mention, remember now, as you say, April 24th, the Passover, coming up, and as make mention, and thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, who are filled with the spirit of wisdom. So this is why now there's a garment department, men given that charge or that spirit, because this is our custom, this is our culture, and we've seen it right here through our records. So again, we continue to read on, and we'll get more insight on it.
So we continue reading in the book of Exodus chapter 28 and verse 4 in the Hebrew. Wa Allah habaga deyam ashar aishawa kashan wa apawada wa ma'ayala wakata nata tashabataza mataza napath wa aban nata wa ay shawat bagadahya kwadash la aran akaya ka walabana yawa lakaha nawa laya, verse 5. Waham yakwa kawa ata azahab wa ata hatazal kalaf wa ata ha'ara gaman wa ata tawala aita hashanaya wa ata ha shasha, verse 6. Wa I shawa ata ha'aba salakir ha apad zahab takalata wa ragam man wa ara gaman tawala aita shaniya wa shasha mashaza ma'aisha kasha, verse 7. Shataya kata pata kabaraf yaha lawa Allah shaniya kwataza wa yawa wakaba, verse 8. Wakashaba, so like a wakashab, apadahwa, asha, yawa, kama aishawa, mamanawa, yahaya, zahab, takalaf, wa ara gaman, wata wala aita shanya wa shisha Mashaza. Verse 9. Walakwa Kata, Shataya, Abaniya, Shaham, Wapath Kata, Al-Yaham, Shamawat, Banya, Yashra'ala. Verse 10. Shashaha, Mashamatha, Mashamatham, Ayla, Ha'aban, Ha'akaf, Wa'ata, Shamawat, Ha'shasha, Ha'nawath, Rayam, Ha'aban, Hashanayath, Kata Walad Math, Salakia, Kata Waladatham.
Book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 4. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, and that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Verse 5. And they shall take gold, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen, with cunning work. Verse 7. It shall have the two shoulder pieces thereof joined at the two edges thereof, and it should be joined together. And the curious girdle of the ephod which is upon it shall be of the same, according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. Verse 9. And thou shalt take 2 oxen stones, and grave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth.
Okay. So we see here once more where the Most has given instructions. And what I love about this, a lot of people, come against Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and to be more specific, the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna, on the way that we dress in our glorious safari. You understand? We wear our garments, you understand? And they come with all kind of stuff. They say it's Power Rangers, it's this, it's that. But they do understand the culture of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And even where we are now in this captivity, when Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians dress, it is the most glorious, and it would seem the most weird thing you would ever see, because of white supremacy and the influence of other cultures. We have our style. Nobody can wear gold better than us. Nobody can wear any kind of jewelry better than us. Nobody can wear our clothes. When it comes to fashion, for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, nobody can dress better than you. We know style. Is in these scriptures, studying our history, is where the world get their style, how to tie your head, how the women dress in their glorious apparel, how the men in their warlike apparel, the priestly garments. all these things that these other nations adopt from us. They stole from us, basically. Because when they come and see the gloriousness, the glorious attire that these priests, and this was just the priests. You understand? These were the men in front of the Most High. And the Most High said what? That these things have to be what? Glorious. These things have to be consecrated. You understand? And he said you will have the blue and the gold and the purple and the scarlet and the fine twined linen with cunning work. When I say cunning work, that is not something that is not anything you just saw. You're talking about with embroidery, pattern, style, real flair. You understand? This is something that we continue. That is a tradition. You understand? That we continue. And I just say, to the men in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding Gen.YAHANNA, that when they wear these glorious apparel, you understand? Another girl shouted to Officer Hazahab, you understand? He really does, especially when it comes to the Mitris, that is the man. You understand? And Officer Agar, I think Agarwa, you understand, head of the garments department, you understand, for providing all that glorious apparel, you understand, to the men of the I.S.U.P.K under commanding Gen.YAHANNA. And commanding Gen.YAHANNA what keeps the traditions of our forefathers. You understand? And he leads the charge in showing that glorious apparel that the nation of Israel has kept throughout all these centuries. So if you have anything, sir. Most in Christ. So we continue in the Hebrew from the book of Exodus chapter 28 and verse 11. Ma'aisha, Karash, Aban, Patah Wakaya, Katam, Tapa Taka, Ata, Shataya, Habaniyah, Ha'aban Yam. I, Shema, Banya, Yashurala, Masabah, Mashabatazawa, Zahab, Ta'aisha, Atam. Verse 12, Washamah, Ata, Shataya, Habanyaham. I, Katapa, Habath, Hapad, Apad, Abanya, Zakaran, Labanya, Yasha'ala, Wanasha, Aran, Ata, Shamawatham, Lapanya, Yahweh, Al, Shataya, Kata Panyawa, Lazakaran, verse 13, Wa'aishayaf, Mashabah Tazaf, Zahab, verse 14, Washataya, Sharaf, Zahab, Tahawa, Magabalaf, Ta'aisha, Atham, Ma'aisha, Ibaf, Wanata, Ata, Sharaf, Ha'Ibatha, Ayla, so like your eye, Hamashabath Tazah, Ta. Verse 15, Wa'aishayatha, so like your Wa'aishayath, Kashan, Mashapath, Masha'a, Ma'aisha, Kashab, Kama'aisha, Apad, Ta'ishanawa, Hazad, Takala, Wa'ara, Gama, Wata, Wala, Aitha, Shaniya, Washasha, Mashaza, Ta'aisha, Atawa, Rabawai, Yahayaha, Kapawa, Irath, Arakawa, Wazarath, Rakabawa, verse 17, Wa Mala'atha, Bawa, Mala'atha, Aban, Arabaya, Tawarayam, Aban, Tawa, Adam, Pataha, Patada, Wabara, Kwata, Hatawa, Ha'akad. That's it.
Book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 11. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, shalt thou engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in ouches of gold, and thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod, for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends, and where then work shalt thou make them, and fasten the 2 where then chains to the ouches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work after the work of the ephod. Thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 squares it shall be, being double. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. Verse 17. And thou shalt set in it settings of stone, even 4 rows of stone. The first row shall be the sardius, a topaz, and the carbuncle. This shall be the first row. Verse 18.
No, it's like just something. Yeah. What else?
So again, as we continue to read on, again, as we read through the book of Exodus chapter 28, they're showing you more instructions again, as was been handed out, in that department. And that department was what, as we read in verse 3, was in that same spirit, that the wisdom, that that will dress men in that glorious apparel, because being the representation of the Most High is a glorious thing. Because again, you can't come before the Most High anyhow. This was the requirement as a priest in this office, because again, the Most High is a man of war. And when you dress in these glorious apparel, these will be warlike apparel. Right? So again, you know, as we continue to read on, if you want to add anything to it, you know, you can.
Yeah, so like I just want to just emphasize as well, you know, all these pieces of jewelry and gold and all these works and precious stones, you know, having these things is just the makeup of this. You would see it's a very expensive, you understand, thing to make, because Israel, and that is also part of our culture. There are certain things when it comes to precious, so-called precious items and gems and stuff. Those things are like nothing to us, right? If you see how the nation of Israel, sometimes how we wear gold and silver, we do cherish and seek gold and all these kind of materialistic things like how the heathens do it. You understand? Our so-called oppressor, they hunger and thirst for things like that. You understand? Whether it be the so-called white man, so-called East Indian, Africans, Arabs, they chase after these things. We have these things just for mere, I say, for glorious apparel. You understand? We don't really go out of our way. And even if you look through history, when you had the children of Israel, like in Puerto Rico, when the Taino Indians, when Christopher Columbus and these guys come there, when they see, you know, the what these natives were wearing, you understand, the precious jewels and gems and gold and all these things that they had, you understand, this was just, it was commonplace. It was common thing. And when you even look at the history and they dig up the bones, they actually find, you know, precious stone and diamonds encrusted in the teeth. You understand? Gold in the mouth, gold in the teeth. You understand? Diamond in the teeth, which we think is something new, but we was doing that from since ancient times. You know, that was part of our culture, to dress in that type of way. You understand? The common man was like that, and this is part of our culture that we are reclaiming as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Right? Right? Yes.
Yeah. You know, as Nick mentioned, concerning with that now, a perfect example, you know, was when they see them, and they say the queen of Ethiopia, when she came to Solomon.
That's right.
And she met, you know, the soldier or one of God. She wanted to know, well, hey, how you dress up like that?
That's right.
Because again, we don't worship. We don't worship. These are things, as we say, that you know, that we dress gloriously, because this is that people. We are, as we say, a special people unto the Most High, right?
That's right. It's in Christ. So we continue reading the book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 18. Wahatawa. Watawa. Hashemiya. Napaka. Sapara. Sapayara. Wayahalam. Verse 19. Wahatawa. Hashala Yashayawa. Salaki. Hashala Yeshaya. Lasham. Shabawa. Wa'aka Laham. Salakia. Wa'aka Lama. Verse 20. Wa Hatawa. Harabaya Aya. Tarasha Yesha. Washaham. Wayashapa. Mashab Tazayam. Zahab. Yahayawa. Bamalawa Atam. Verse 21. Wahabaniyam. Tahayayan. Ayla. Shama. Banya. Yesha'ala. Shatayam. Aisharaha. Ayla. Shamatam, Pata Wakaya, Kawatam, Pata Wakaya, Kawatam, Ayash, Ayal, Shamawa, Kahayayan, Lashayan, Aishara, Shabbat, Shabbatah. Verse 22. Wa'ai Al, Hakashan, Sharashah, Gabalath, Ma'aisha, Ibatha, Has Zahab, Tahawa. Verse 23. Wa'ai Al, Hakashan, Shataya, Taba Iwa, Ha Zahab, Manata Ta, Ata, Shataya, Hata Ba'aiwa, Al, Shania, Kwatazawa, Hakashan. Verse 24. Wanata Ta, Ata, Shataya, Ibatata, Hazahab, Al, Shataya, Hataba'aita, Allah, Kwatazawa, Hakashan. In the English.
Book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 18. And the second row shall be an emerald, and sapphire, and a diamond, and the third row a lucre, and an agate, and the amasty, and the fourth row a beryl, and oxen, and a jasper, and they shall be set in gold in their enclosing. Verse 21. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of weather work pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. Verse 24. And thou shalt put 2 weathering chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate.
So like you've seen once more, you know, how intricate, you know, the Most High is describing these things, you know, and this is how, you know, Moses is really explaining these things and what they should be, right? So this is very specific. This is not just anyhow. This is very intellect, very precise craftsmanship, right? That went into the making of the ephod, of the so-called breastplate, and all the linen and the garments. It was quality work of quality items, things that would last, things that would stand out, things that would bring that glorious apparel. That when you see one of these priests, you would want to know if it's an alien coming. You understand? You want to know which corner of the universe this being comes from. When you see all this glorious apparel upon the nation of Israel, right? More specifically, the priests, right, which would be the sons of Aaron, who would come before the Most High. So you can't come halfway, as you would say. You're coming in everything that was necessary to be before the Most High. I don't know if you add anything, sir. So we continue reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 25 and verse 1 to like 28 and verse 25. Wa'ata Shetaya Watazawa Shetaya Ta'ibata Tatan Al Shetaya Hamashab Tazawa Wanata Ta Al Katapawa Papad Allah Mawal Panyawa, verse 26. Wa Aishaya Shataya Tabawa Zahab Washamath Atam Al Shaniya Patazawa Hakashan Al Shapawa Asha Allah Aiba I Powad Bayat, verse 27. Wa Aishaya Shataya Taba Aiwa Zahab Wanata Ta Atam Al Shataya Katapawa Ha'apawad Mala Mata Mamawal Panyawa Lamath La'aimath Makathiwa Mama Aila Lakashad Ha'apawa, verse 28. Wayara Kashawa Ata Hakashan Mata Ba'aitawa Allah Taba'aita Abapawad Bapatalaya Salakya Taya La Takala Lahaya Wa Al Kashad Abawad Wala'a Yazaka Hakashan Ma'aila Ha'apawad, verse 29. Wanasha Aran Ata Shamawat Banya Yasha'ala Bakashan Hashana Pat Al Labawa Babawa Allah Hakwadash Lazakan Ran Lapanya Yahweh Tamayad, verse 30. Wanatata Allah Kashan Hashapath Ata Ha'awaran Salake Ha'awarayam Wa Ata Hatayam Wa Hayawa Salake Wa Hayawa Al Laba Aram, Baba Awa, Lapanya, Yahweh, Wana Wanasha, Aram, Ata, Mashapat, Manya, Yasha'ala, Al, Labawa, Lapanya, Yahweh, Samayad. Yeah, I think it's 20, 31. 31. Wa'ai Shaya, Ata, Ma'aiya, Salakia, Ma'aiya, Ka'apawa, Kaliya, La, Taka, Lata.
Book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 25. And on the other end, two ends of the two within chains, thou shalt fasten two ouches, and put on them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make it 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. And 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on 2 sides of the ephod, underneath towards the 4 thereof, woven against the other coupling. Therefore, above the, the, the curious girdle of the ephod. Verse 28. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and the breastplate be not loosened from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth unto the holy place for a memorial before the Most High continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Most High. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord the Most High continually. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue.
Yes, like so good.
Right? So, again, and this office, as we always make mention, this priestly office is something that is very, something that is going to be taken seriously, because now you're bearing the burden of these 12 tribes.
Right.
And this is why now again, the council that is set up in the I.S.U.P.K, is the same structure that is set up, in the 4th dimension, in the Most High. Because why? It is something that, that will bring judgment on our people, on our nation. And it is going to be right. And this is why we have laws, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
And you're seeing, this whole structure, and every time it make mention of the gloriousness now. It come back now and bring it that this office that Aaron and his sons hold was could be the determining factor in the nation with their interaction towards the Most High. And he had that office, and again that office was given to him, because again the structure that the Most High set up, and again the same structure in the I.S.U.P.K. So again, I know.
Yeah, that was
yeah. So,
We continue reading in the book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 32. In the Hebrew, Wahaya, Ra'ashawa, Bathwakawa, Shapa, Yahaya, La Panyawa, Sabayab, Ma'aisha, Arab, Kapaya, Takara, Yahaya, Lawa, La'a, Yakora'ai, verse 33. Wa'aishiya, Al, Shawalayawa, Ramanya, Takalaf, Wa'aragaman, Wathwala Aitha, Shanya, Al, Shawala Yawa, Sabayab, Wapa'aimana, Wapanaya, Zahab, Bathwakam, Sabayab, verse 34. Pa'aiman, Zahab, Parawa Ramawan, Pa'aiman, Zahab, Wara Ramawan, Al, Shawalaya, Hama'ayal, Sabayab, verse 35. Wahaya, Al, Aram, Lasharaf, Wanashamai, Kwawalawa, Baba'awa, Allah, Hakwadash, Lapanya, Yahweh, Wabataza Athawa, Wala'a, Yamawaf, verse 36. Verse 36. Wa'aishayaf, Tazayat Zahab, Tahawar, Wapathaka, Alyawa, Patah Wakaya, Khatam, Kodash, La Yahweh, verse 37. Washamath, Atawa, Al, Patayala, Takala, Wahaya, Al, Amataza, Napath, Allah, Mawar, Panya, Amataza, Napah, Hayaha, verse 38. Wahaya, Al, Matazaka, Aran, Wanasha, Aran, Ata, Iwan, HaKodashian, Ashar, Yakwada, Yakwada, Yashawa, Banya, Yasha'ala, Lakar, Matan, Kodashyaham, Wahaya, Al, Makotazakoa, Tamya, Laratazawan, Laham, Lapanya, Yahau.
So, continuing in verse 32, the book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 32. And there shall be an hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof it shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of an habergon, that it be not rent. And beneath, upon the hem of it, shall make pomegranates of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about, a gold bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and the sound shall be heard when he goeth unto the holy place before the Most High, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, engraven upon it, like the engravings of a signet, O holiness to the Most High. And thou shalt put it on a blue lace, and that it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre. It shall be, and it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be acceptable before the Most High.
Right. So again, once more, we see him, where it was very precise in the way that they were making these garments, and these garments were specially made for the high priest, right? The sons of Aaron were so-called the high priest. At that time, you had the other Levites that were serving different offices. But we see here where Aaron was the high priest at that time, and the Most High made it special, showing you exactly how to make all these garments and how it is done, and all these things were adopted from us by other nations. They started to put all stuff on their clothes and do the same thing. So we see in where we are the originators of a lot of stuff. And again, these other nations come and copy it and try to make it their own. So that's what I think.
So again, you're seeing, just as the officer make mention concerning these were, it must be on point. These instruction that was passed down, and this is where nothing extra, nothing more, but just do it as the instructions have been passed down. And as when we continue to read on, we get more. And again, as a priest, bearing that burden, because now again, as Nick mentioned, your brother would come to you, your sister would come to you, and as that priest, must again, with that office, with that responsibility, bring this before the Most High. That's why I see now, I just say with the Urim and the Turim, to make that judgment concerning that fear or that pride this brother or sister, brought to you. So again, we will continue to read on. Right?
Yes, thank Christ. So continue reading in the book of Exodus chapter 28 and verse 39. Washab Tizatha Hakatanathan Shasha wa I Shayaf Mataza Napath Shasha wa Abanata Wanabanata Ta Aisha Ma Aisha Raquam. Verse 40. Walaban Talakewa Walabanya Aran Ta Aisha Katanatan Wa Aishayata Laham Abanatayam Wa Maga Ba'ai Wa Ta Aisha Laham Lakabal Wa Walada Salake Walata Fa'araf. Verse 41. Wahala Bashaf Atam Ata Aram Akayahan Salaki Akayaka Wa Ata Banyawa Atawa Washakatha Atam Wamala Ata Yadam Wakodashta Atam Wakahanoa Laya. Verse 42. Wa Aisha Laham Makana Saya Bada Lakasawa Basha Irawa Mamata Nayam Wa Aida Yarakayam Yahayawa. Verse 43. Wa Hayawa Aya Aran Wa Aya Banyawa Baba Amma Allah Ahau Mawa Aida Awa Bagashaham Allah Hamaza Baka Lashara Buakwadash Wala Wala'a Yasha'awa Iwan Wamatawa Kapwap Iwalam Lawa Walazara Iwa Akarayawa. Book of Exodus chapter 29 and verse 1. Waza Hadaba Asha Ta Aisha Laham Lakodash Atam Lakalhan Laya Lakwaka Farah Akal Ban Bakwa Wa Ayala Salakia Wa Ayalam Shanayam Samyama. Verse 2. Wa Lakam Matazawa Wa Kalaf Matazata Bala Walaf Bashaman Wakora Warakwa Yakwaya, Matazawa, Mashakayam, Bashaman, Salah, Katamayam, Salah, Katayam, Aisha, Atam.
Continue reading book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 39. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's son thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles and bonnets, shalt thou make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. Verse 42. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron's son, Aaron, and upon his sons, when they come into the congregation of the tabernacle. So like when they come into the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come there unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. Book of Exodus, chapter 29 and verse 1. And this is the thing that thou shalt do unto them, to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. Take one young bullock and 2 young rams without blemish, and unleavened bread and cakes, and unleavened tempered with oil, and the wafers unleavened anointed with oil, and wheaten flour shalt thou make them.
This I'm impressed. So again, once more we're seeing where the Most High is, giving the specifics, talk about the clothing, talk about the mitre. For those who don't know what the mitre is a wrap that the priest, as part of our culture, that we would wrap around your head, and the top part, which is the crown of your head, would be open, right? It's not like some of these fake groups tying a whole head like an Arab with this big bun on your head. That was not, that's not our tradition, that's not our culture, right? As a priest, your head should not be covered. The crown of your head should be open, right? So all these things is part of our culture, right? The Arabs have their way of wrapping their head. That is the Arabs' way. That is not our way. And as we go through, we'll see once more, it goes through all the different aspects of the dress code of how the priest should dress and how he should be covered, right? It also gives specifics of how, Aaron's sons, basically same is supposed to be made for his sons, and they should have what? Fine clothes, right? And the same, verse 40 says, and for Aaron's sons, thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, right? And a lot of people don't understand the girdle is not like, what these so-called women have. And these are, again, they take a lot of stuff, and they try to, these other nations make a mess of what the nation of Israel have, right? So they have girdles and bonnets. The bonnet is not like what the so-called feminine bonnets what they have, or again what they would bring for the so-called Easter holidays. That is not Easter bonnet. It's something totally different, right? And it says, thou shalt make for them girdles and bonnets, thou shalt make of them for glory and for beauty. You understand? So when you see the men of the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA in those glorious apparel, you understand? It will make a big difference in understanding what needs to be done. You understand? So if you don't understand I mean, I just don't understand. But these men are wearing these garments according to the scriptures, according to the heritage that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are supposed to wear. That's it.
So again, just touching on your officer bringing out, and it's always a reminder to us, and that concerning as we read through the records, and seeing that the office that was given to Aaron and his sons was not just that office to take life. It's an office where the nation will be judged in all aspects, in all walk of their way of walking right in the sight of the Most High.
Right.
So again we continue to read on through the book of Exodus, and I will continue to read every Sabbath service through these records, and to bring the reminder to the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian again.
Right.
These 12 tribes, and as we see all the engravement, all these, glorious wood, that was attached to the garments of these priests. And again, we follow after that same spirit here in the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General GEN.YAHANNA, and we would continue again, to march on, and in raising these 12 tribes, and reminding them that these records belong to the Black, Hispanic, and Native American.
And with that, this brings us to the end of the service. Let's say a mud jump. Liar SHALAM to Israel. Same margin, putting off the thumb. To the rise and face easy. Raise, rise, turn and face the east, south. You can see Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Now, Shemayim, Dash, Yah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakafra, Saba'a, Zaka, Yah, Isha, Barakisa, Kawa, Yah, Washamayim, Yadon, Manawa, Makam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalakno, Kawatno, Kasalakno, Kawatno, Malaka, Tabianawa, Malasayawan, Abba, our Shino, Young, Right, Yah, Maka, Malakwa, Ala, Watapara, I will love you, Amen.
Being blessed, our Father, which art in heaven, be thy name, power, kingdom come, will be done, earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day, daily bread, give us our debts, forgive our debtors, forgive us not, the temptation, deliver us from evil, thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We are saying Hakka for the power, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Babukasha, Natanda Nawa, Hakka, Rafa'a, Kamaka'ala, Kamanawa, Hakka, Nataha, Amatizarayan, Hakka, Rafoyam, Amakiyam, Hakka, Irakawa, Amata'ala, Nagarashon, Hashem, Yahushai, Tawada.
Being this Yahweh, name of Yahweh, please give us the power, the heat, all manner of sickness, all manner of disease, for to cleanse the leper, to raise the dead, for against unclean spirits, cast them out, name of Yahweh, thank you, so be it.
We say, bless Israel, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Barak Now, Ba'ashala, Bahaviyah, Safaria, Barak, Rafah, Magan, Agam, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Tawad Aman. Yahweh, name of Yahushai, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones, name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Psalm 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Hariyam, Ma'ayam, Yaba'ah, Isaiah, Ma'ayim, Yahweh, Aisha'ah, Shamayam, Wa'aratazah, Yatan, Lamawah, Ragalka, Alianawam, Shamarka, Hanna, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shawamah, Yasha'al, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Ayah, Yamyanka, Yawama, Ashama, La'ah, Yakaka, Ayara, Bariyal, Yahweh, Yashamaka, Makaira, Yashama, Atana Shmaka, Yahweh, Yashama, Tazahaka, Awawaka, Mayata, Wai, Iwana. I lift up my eyes unto the hills. Whence cometh my help? My help come from the Most High. Which made heaven and earth. Will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee, will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel, neither slumber nor sleep. The Most High thy keeper. Most High thy shade. Upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day. Nor the moon by night. The Most High shall preserve thee. From all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Most High shall preserve thy going out, and thy coming in. This time forth, even forever. Psalm 83 in Hebrew. Alahayim, Al-Demayalakar, Al-Takarash, Al-Tashaprat, Al-Kayahanna, Al-Bayakar, Yahama Yawan, Ash, I-Amaka, Ira Yawa, Sawadah, Bayata, Aitazawa, Aitazapawanka, Amaro, Wakawa, Malakadan, Gawya, Malaha, Yazaka, Shamyashal, Iwada, Kaya, Nawaitzawa, Rabba, Yakarwa, Ayaka, Yashal, Iwada, Kaya, Aitazawa, Yakaru, Ayaka, Maria, Yakarafwa, Alahaya, Alawam, Waya Shamai Alayan, Mawa'aba, Wagaraya, Yabab, Wa'aimawan, Wa'aimala, Alasha, Ayashabaya, Tazawo, Agam Ashawo, Nalawo, Aima, Hayawa, Zarawa, Labani Lawa, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadian, Hasayasara, Banakar, Kayabia, Banakar, Kayashwa, Nashamarwa, Ba'ayan, Gara, Ayawa, Daman, Adam, Shayatnamwa, Nadayat Mawa, Kaira, Wakazaba, Wakazabunad, Kama Sekayamwa, Ashar, Amaro, Yashwa, Manawa, Ata, Malawa, Alahaya, Shayatamwa, Galgala, Lafash, Lapanira Waka, Ash, Tabaira, the Ira, Wakalaba, Talahat, Harayam, Khan, Harapadma, Masaraika, Amasa, Wapaka, Tarahala, Mal'a, Panyaham, Palawan, Wayabakwasho, Shanka, Yahawah, Yabashwa, Panyaham, Wala, Wayabahawa, Panyaham, Palawan, Wayabakwasho, Shanka, Yahawah, Yabashwa, Wayabahawa, Ai, Wayakapara, Wayabarwa, Wayadaiwa, Yata, Shanka, Yahawah, Yabata, Yawan, Al-Kaha, Arakaza.
English, Psalm 83. Keep not outside.
Keep not outside.
Who most high.
Who most high.
Hold on thy peace.
Hold on thy peace.
Be not still.
Be not still.
Who most high.
Who most high.
Although
Thine
enemy.
They
get to mouth.
And
they that hate
they that hate
thee.
thee.
Have lifted up
Lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people.
against thy people.
Consulted.
Consulted
Against thy hidden ones.
against thy hidden
They
ones.
have said.
They have said,
Come.
Come.
Let us cut them off.
Let us cut them off.
Being a nation.
Being a nation.
And the name of Israel.
The name of Israel.
Be no more
We
remembrance.
no more remember.
For they have consulted.
For they have consulted
Together.
together
With one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate.
They are confederate
against thee.
against thee.
Tabernacles of Edom.
Tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
Moab.
And the Havarese.
And the Havarese.
Baal.
Baal.
And Ammon.
Ammon.
Amalek.
Amalek.
The Philistines.
Philistines.
With the inhabitants of
They didn't
Tyre.
have it of Tyre.
Serve. Also is joined with
Also
them.
is joined with them.
They are helpers.
They are helpers.
The children.
The children
of Lot. Selah.
Selah.
Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to
And
Jabin.
the brook of Kison.
Brook of Kison.
Which perished at Endor.
Perished at Endor.
He became as dung for the
They
earth.
came out down to the
Make their nobles.
Make their noble.
Like Oreb.
Like Oreb.
Like Zebed.
Like Zeb.
Yea. All the princes.
All the princes.
Isaiah.
Who said,
Let us take to
let us
ourselves
take to
the
ourselves
houses of the Most High
the possession.
Who my power,
Who my power,
make them like a
make
wheel,
them like a wheel,
as a stubble before the
before the
wind,
wind,
as a fire with the wood,
fire with the wood,
and as a flame set to the
and the
mountain
flames
of
under the
fire.
mountains and fire.
So persecute them
with
thy
thy tempest.
make them
Make
afraid,
them afraid.
with thy
Thy
store,
store.
fill their
Fill their faces
with shame,
with shame,
and they may
that
see
they may see
thy name,
thy name,
O Most High,
O Most High.
let them be confounded,
Let them be confounded,
and troubled, forever.
forever.
Yea, let them be put to shame,
Let them be put to shame,
and perish,
perish,
that men may know,
that men may know
that thou,
thou,
whose name alone is
name
Yahweh,
alone is Jehovah,
art the Most High,
and the
over
Most
all
High
things.
over all things. So, when of Israel, let's give one quick salute. Imagine Shabbat, Imagine, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai Baratah. Again, Matah, class dismissed.